You're far right, they're far right, she's far right, he's far right, I'm far right. They're all far right now. They are all far right now. We have Simon Harris and Micheál Martin and most of Fianna Fáil and most of Fine Gael. Sinn Féin, I saw this morning MEP, Thomas Byrne MEP, Fianna Fáil MEP, has come out against mass immigration. He's saying we have to stop people coming. We have to find out what the attraction is to Ireland. They are all far right now. And do you know why they're far right? Because they never, ever, ever gave us a definition of what far right was. Only if you dared mention the word immigration, you were far right. Those of us who campaigned, those of us who ran for election, we were branded as far right. We had doors slammed in our faces and we were called every name under the sun. And now, lo and behold, they've all done a 360 turn, and they're all on the same page as we were, because they are saying nothing different than we have been saying, in that mass immigration into Ireland is too much. But do you know who's not far right? Who's not far right are the left. All the lefties, who we now know make up only 1/4, which is 25% of the electorate after the last presidential campaign there, and presidential election, 25%. That's the entire left wing, the entire left wing political machine who got behind Catherine Connolly. They all said, we'll stick to our guns and we'll stick together. And it turns out that those who spoiled the vote and those who voted for others and those who stayed at home are 75% of the nation. So they are a tiny portion, the 25%, who are not far right in their own eyes now. In their own eyes, they are not far right. We have a most ridiculous Social Democrats. Holly Cairns, the leader of the Social Democrats, said a little rant the other night in the Dáil, and it looks like to me that the Social Democrats and all these other left-wing people, Labour, Alan Kelly out this morning saying that the government needs to stop the rhetoric, the government needs to just send out a leaflet, an information leaflet to every home in Ireland, letting them know how great mass immigration is, not to feel bad, that it's brilliant, change of demographics, no houses for our own, the homeless figures shooting skyrocket, and what will fix that for everyone and what will stop people talking about immigration into Ireland is a little leaflet. I don't know if that will stop me talking about it. I doubt that very much. So let's listen to Holly Cairns, who, in my mind, as well as all the other left wings, including Sinn Féin, even though they're coming out now saying that they're not in favour of mass immigration, and they actually literally counter-protested all of us, in all the rallies we've had and all the get-togethers and all the community gatherings and meetings about mass immigration over the past number of years, up to very recently. They stood with the NGOs as a counter-protest, with the trade unions and the NGOs with placards calling people racist and far-right for mentioning immigration. So even they are, in my mind, for no limits. When you listen to Holly Cairns now of the Social Democrats, she is in favour of no limits. Can you imagine? Zero cap. Zero cap. People think of asylum seeking, and Micheál Martin has told us that 80% are economic migrants. But anyway, people think when you think of asylum seeking and going to other countries seeking a new life, you think of it as a temporary measure. Well, listen to Holly Cairns here, and in no way, shape or form are the left wing in Ireland willing to say that immigration should be capped. They are not willing to even give that little ray of hope to people that perhaps someday down the road they will agree that immigration should be capped at a certain number, and those who fail in their asylum application in other words, those who turn out to be economic migrants, that yes, they should be deported, which every sane, rational person in Ireland right now thinks of. As a new poll came out actually at the weekend, 82% of us, that's basically all of us in Ireland, want to curb immigration, want the government to deal with it sufficiently. Let's hear Holly Cairns have a little rant in the Dáil.
The government now has a deliberate strategy of depicting international protection applicants as scammers gaming a lax system. This is not leadership. This is leaning into a toxic far-right narrative. The government can't stoke fear in one breath, then condemn attacks in another breath, and then actually come in here and seek credit for doing that. Minister, the Social Democrats have been pleading with the government for weeks to moderate your language, to ensure that what you're saying is accurate and the tensions aren't further inflamed, but instead the inflammatory language from government has increased. Shamefully, the Taoiseach chose to amplify half-truths to paint migrants in a negative light. He made those comments fully conscious of the volatile atmosphere that is out there. It's not just irresponsible, it's reprehensible. Now we see where rising hate naturally leads. A man pouring petrol on the stairs of an IPAS centre in the hopes of burning women and children alive. If this horrific event isn't enough to prompt the government to engage in some reflection, then I don't know what is. The government now has a deliberate strategy of depicting international protection applicants as scammers gaming a lax system. This is not leadership. This is leaning into a toxic far-right narrative. People have a right to come here and to make an application for international protection, and the government has a duty to assess those claims fairly. Minister, will the government show leadership on this issue and deliver that clear and unambiguous message?
Look, I reject that completely. I think if you've listened to what I've said, I reject the politics of the far right, of Farage, of anyone who provides an inflammatory response or weaponises this issue to divide people. Our focus is on community, is on building harmony between people and supporting and investing in communities, whilst also ensuring we have a migration system and policy which works. And I'm disgusted, as everyone is, with what has happened.
So there you go. Holly Cairns, the entire left wing, all they do is yap on about the far-right narrative, about division. Oh, it's so tiresome. They really have to open their eyes and think about what the ordinary person wants. What the ordinary person wants. We have no homes for our own. We have no homes. I saw an article yesterday that said it'll be 20 years before the housing crisis is solved. 20 years. I saw them rabbiting on TV last night on Virgin Media, having a debate, saying, well, gosh, golly gosh, we don't have the tradesmen. How could we build all these houses? Of course it's going to take 15 to 20 years. They literally have just built in my hometown here 5 apartment blocks of high-end, finished, most luxuriously, with balconies and lounge furniture and everything. And you should have seen the amount of tradesmen that were there. The amount of workers that were there. And they got it up so quick. And it's nearly finished. And they have the audacity to go on television and tell the Irish people that there's no builders in the country. There's no tradespeople. It's absolutely revolting. It is revolting at this stage that we are this far down the road and that narrative, never mind far-right narrative, that narrative that we cannot look after our own because we don't have the workers. We don't have the workers. Bring the modular, they erected in modular homes extremely quickly for the Ukrainians last year and the year before. Beautiful, finished, landscaped homes. It cost €40 for the Ukrainians to live in. That's everything included as far as I know. That was rent, utilities, even internet. Price tag of €40. Do the same for all the young tradespeople that have left over the last 5 years in their droves to Canada, Australia, the UK. Bring them home. Tell them there's modular homes being built very quickly for them and give them the price tag of €40, and you will see magic happen in this country. Magic. But regardless of that, they have the tradespeople here. They have the builders, because how the heck did they just build 5 apartment blocks? Finished to the nines. They really, 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 really think that we are stupid. And not one of us are stupid. And every one of us are awake. Not woke, like the clowns in the Social Democrats and Sinn Féin and all the lefties and the people before profit. We're not woke. We are awake. And we are very intelligent. And we have eyes to see. And we are not going to wait 15 or 20 years until our housing crisis is completed and over, while we are welcoming the world, while we are housing the world for free. That's another issue that came up during the week. Simon Harris said that asylum seekers in these IPAS centres must be charged between 15 and €238 a week, depending on their wages. As I said before, these people can work. These people can work alongside Irish men and women, and these people have got accommodation paid for, food paid for, what other benefits, health, dental, paid for. I don't know what else. Is it driving lessons? I am not sure what extras they get. In other words, it's an all expenses paid lifestyle. And there you go. You can go to work as well, guys. Did you know that? You can go to work and retain your full salary, and we won't ask you for a penny. We won't ask you for a penny, we don't even ask you for a donation. We don't even send around a donation envelope to each apartment and look for a donation for the workers. Again, outrageous what's going on. And then what did they say the next day? That was one day. I don't know what day it was. But what did they say the next day? The headline. It's going to cost millions. It's going to cost the Irish taxpayer millions to ask these people for a donation, for a contribution. This is the crap. This is the crap that every single one of us wake up to every morning, and we have had it. We are sick of it. And just like the presidential election that just went by there and the shock you got, wait till the next election. I know we've got a few years left. We have a few years left of making podcasts and waking people up and fighting. But I'm glad to see that ye have all jumped on board onto the movement. Ye who are allowing this to happen all the time, and come out then in front of the cameras and say, immigration's too high. I don't know what we're going to do. We have to ask for contributions. I'm not sure. We can't house the Irish. It's going to take 20 years. So they've had this big 360 turn, and they're all far right now. And one must wonder what's got into them now and why they're like this. Because as you know, there has been nothing but name calling and shutting down and not letting anyone who mentioned immigration over the past few years speak. So they've even counter-protested. So one must wonder, and one must take it into context with the EU Migration Pact that Ireland has been opted into. Helen McEntee, Minister for Justice last year, went ahead and opted Ireland into the EU Migration Pact. And bear in mind that Mark McSharry, who is a former TD, during that debate on the EU Migration Pact, he was fearful that the EU would dictate, which is part of the pact, the EU will dictate how many asylum seekers, 80% economic migrants, according to Micheál Martin. But the EU, under the EU Migration Pact, will dictate how many each member state takes. And Mark McSharry said he was fearful because it goes on the population of the country per square kilometre. And he said Ireland has such a low population density that God only knows how many the EU will make us take. And bearing in mind all the construction that's going on in the country, all the sites, all the IPAS sites, all the new buildings that's going on, all the apartment blocks, and even the purchase of City West. This is all red flags. These are all red flags, and one must wonder, all of that going on, and then they come out this week and they do a big 360 turn and become far right themselves. So keep your eyes and ears open when you read about the EU Migration Pact and you see it on RTE. It's not all that it is portrayed to be. It is not all that it's portrayed to be. And I think it's the next big battle, the next big fight that ordinary people will have to raise with their local councillors, with their TDs. And at protests, the EU Migration Pact, we should have opted out, or we had a choice of just not doing anything, actually. Ireland and Denmark had the choice just not to do anything. We didn't have to do anything. We didn't have to opt in or opt out. We just had to just be quiet. We had that written in since the Lisbon Treaty, as far as I know. And Denmark didn't do anything. Denmark are not opted into the EU Migration Pact. So, and apparently it's a liberal government Denmark have, and they protected their borders. They protected their country and their people from mass immigration. And you must wonder what Denmark knows that our Irish government didn't know. So these are all questions that you guys are going to have to ask over the next couple of months, because things have changed drastically. To me, them coming out this week and doing the 360 and becoming far right, this is the beginning of the end of mass immigration in my mind, because they can't go back now. They can't backtrack now. They have to go full steam ahead, like the rest of us who have been awake for years now. They cannot backtrack. They have to sort it out. They have to start deportations. There's 7,300 people from 2023 alone waiting to be deported that were asked nicely to leave, and only 89 of them left. So these are the kind of things that the government must now address and must now deal with. But that's all I wanted to say, guys. As always, I will be here to bring you the news from X. Please set up an account if you haven't already. And if you don't fancy that, I will be here. And I thank you for listening again. And hello to that lady I met out shopping the other day who recognized me from YouTube. So that's the power of YouTube. It reaches far and wide, and I'm having great, I just love it. I just love the podcast. So thank you very much. See you guys on the next one. Please like, subscribe. If you fancy it, buy me a coffee. The link is in my channel description there. If you can, please. It's all appreciated. Thank you so much. And I will see you on the next one. Take care.